Alrighty, got a match here for the Masked Player Tournament. This is a tournament where I believe it's 16 total players, all have anonymized accounts with Halloweenish themes. So, ill-gotten brains, fun on ill-gotten gains, and jack of all lanterns, rather than jack of all trades. They got a bunch of clever names in them. In any case, we don't know who these players are. And I believe the format is it's a 3-round Swiss tournament structure. This being the third round, so I should probably figure out what the standings are for these players. Okay, here we go. So Jack of all lanterns and ill-gotten brains are both at 3 and 5. So you want to be in the top 4 after this third round to make it to the semifinals match. Are they in contention? With 4 wins, if one of them 4-0s the other, they'll be at 7 and 5, which that might do it depending on how the rest of these matches shake out. But I think you'd need to see a 4-0 here from one of the two players. Didn't have a good shot. Anyways, I haven't actually looked at this kingdom at all. So we've got village is border village, or temporarily madman off of hermit. Trashing, Jack can turn estates into silvers. Dismantle can trash stuff, but not very effectively. Hermit can turn estates into nothing. Plus buy pawn. Draws. The only real draw other than madman is draw to X stuff with scholar or Jack. Awkward kingdom, real awkward. Like I think you have to build a bit. You've got castles, which is a nice source of alt VP, but like you can't really get deck control in any meaningful way. Like the only thing that you could be doing while drawing your deck is like if you're playing a bunch of scholars and border villages for your draw, you can play some pawns or like a harvest or maybe opulent castle could be your payload. But if you're playing draw X, you need payload that's coming from actions rather than treasures, so you can play it and then draw back up. And that doesn't like none of those is super appealing. So I don't know. I feel like you're doing some weird halfway like build a bit but aren't like fully getting deck control type thing. Sewers is really nice here because the better trashers here are estate trashers. Jack and Hermit. Um, I'm not surprised Jack wasn't gained because Hermit is just like doing what Jack does but better. Uh, in trashing estates, and then dismantle. I think dismantle is better as a gainer than as a trasher. Like turning golds into stuff is nice, but just trashing a copper for nothing is pretty bad for 4. Trashing an estate and gaining a copper and a gold is not very appealing either. So you don't really want to trash your coppers with dismantle, which means I think sewers looks really appealing. You buy it before trashing the estates with hermit, and then you're trashing coppers every time you trash an estate. So I don't know what the opening is. Probably either double hermit or hermit sewers, I would think. Poor ill-gotten brains had a 5-2. Yeah, hermit supplies seems like the best you can do on 5-2 here, probably. The 5s are like not appealing early on. Harvest is terrible. Scholar isn't doing a whole lot before you have villages and whatnot. Anyways, I am not particularly caught up, so I don't I don't know who's in the lead here. It looks like the supplies have split evenly, 5-5. Uh, IGB is real thin. Dismantle looks so much worse here than usual. Like normally the cards you really want are often at the $5 price point, and then you can dismantle a gold, gain a 5, get the gold back, and then dismantle it again next turn. And it's just like a fancy $5 card gainer. But here the card you really want is Border Village. All these 5s and stuff don't help you much if you don't have villages. And there's not really a good way to get Border Villages off of dismantle. You can dismantle province or various castles in a Border Village, but you have to acquire the province first, which at that point you just buy the border village. So Jack of all lanterns still has a bunch of coppers left. Not that that'll be super hard to take care of. You know, dismantles with sewers is trashing your coppers two at a time now. What do you do here? You could turn the horse into a pawn and kill a copper. You could trash two coppers. You could trash the scholar into something. This the I'm also a bit confused as to why IGB got another scholar last turn. I feel like, given that they have rushed the supplies, they like scholar doesn't work very well with supplies. You top deck five horses, you play the horses, now you're at a 10 card hand, and then you play scholar, you're reducing your hand size. This scholar supplies deck seemed a little odd to me. I could see like a scholar early maybe when you don't have all the supplies yet, but IGB has doubled down and gotten another scholar, as has Jack of all lanterns. Okay, still a bit confused by this. Halloween is over, but this tournament is not. This tournament has a pretty strong Halloween theme. Guardian leads to the highest province ending percent. Is that factoring in resign rates or like of non-resigned games? It has the highest province to three pile ratio. Uh-oh, can y'all not hear me? I think I was just silent for a moment there. I had asked a question, which was, is this Guardian is the highest province ending percent of all orange and black cards? Is that just like total games that end in provinces or non-resigned games that end in provinces? Yeah, Guardian's not doing a whole lot in this particular kingdom. It can't block Haunted Castle because Haunted Castle is actually technically not an attack. Although I mean, attacks your opponent pretty clearly. It's not something that attacks when you play it, and only those have the attack cards. Incidentally, Ill-Gotten Gains is another example of an attack card that doesn't actually have the attack type because it's giving them a curses when you buy it, not when you, or technically when you gain it, not when you play it. But you could get the Guardian anyway, just to be on theme for this tournament. Second Dismantle. I don't understand these decks, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I said at the start, this kingdom just feels awkward. I don't know if there's anything that's particularly appealing. But the Scholar Dismantle Draw to X thing just feels weird if you started by getting five supplies. IGP has managed to get both Small Castle and Crumbling Castle, which is kind of nice. I think Small castle is really nice if you can get it with either the castles immediately before or after it in the pile. Because Crumbling Castle and Haunted Castle, like their main value is the on gain, or in the case of Crumbling Castle, on gain and on trash effect. And so once you've gotten them, you've gotten the main benefit out of them. And so I think they're prime targets for being trashed into higher value castles. Uh, Humble Castle, not so much, because if you get a bunch of castles, you want to keep Humble Castle around for the points. But it's really nice to get Small Castle with the 4 and 6 cost castles, but it's also difficult because if you buy the 4, they can buy the 5, and then you buy the 6, and now the person with small doesn't have either of the ideal targets for it. But it's nice when you can get, the 4 and the 5, or the 5 and the 6. Opulent Castle also looks really good in this kingdom because of the scholars they've got. Discard all your victory cards and then draw back up. I mean, really good relative to how good it normally is. I mean, normally you don't like particularly play it very often. But now Sprawling Castle. Now that's the best of the castles. I'm not just saying that because I'm representing the Sprawling Castle division in the championship this year. Man, 4 victory points plus 3 more victory points on gain. Can't beat that. I mean, I'll put it this way. Sprawling Castle gives you more guaranteed victory points than any other castle. King's Castle could be as low as 2 victory points. Grand Castle guarantees you 5 victory points, but I mean that's not 7. I guess to be fair, there's one counter to Sprawling Castle, which is they could empty both the duchy and estate piles before you gain it, and then you're only getting 4 victory points. Uh, that would be a really strong play, but provided you manage to get to Sprawling Castle before they've done that, seems like clearly the best castle to me. Well, Jack of all trades is gaining no cards because they haven't gained any Jack of all trades or played them. Jack of all lanterns, however, is optimizing for those museum points. So is IGB here? What are you doing? You could play Opulent and discard both of the other castles, then you would have pin money, and you could play one other terminal. You could trash small, gain sprawling castle, discard humble castle. That leaves you with 8 money, which is not quite enough to buy the other castle. That didn't work out very well. They are doing that anyway. Maybe it's going to buy province. They take border village as well. I didn't actually look for a win on IGB's turn. Maybe there was one there. If they managed to buy 2 border villages and then dismantle into a 3rd border village, you gain a pawn and 2 duchies off of them. This round being round 2 or round 3? I got my guesses in for round 2. I mean, you don't need to check them. They're all right. Yeah, Terracubus has been too busy playing in them. So Opulent Castle and Grand Castle don't synergize particularly well because if you play Opulent Castle for the money, now you don't have victory cards in hand to reveal a Grand Castle. Like here, for example, was that not just like them throwing away victory points? So if they like didn't play the Opulent Castle and bought Grand Castle, they would have gotten more victory points out of it. They just discarded the victory cards from their hand to minimize Grand Castle points. See, this is why Sprawling Castle is the best castle. You don't make those mistakes. It forces you to gain extra victory points, whether you want them or not. Oh, look at that $4 harvest. What a power card. Is this a win? I don't think it is. You need 12 money and 2 buys. You just buy King's Castle now and you'll win next turn. Never mind, you win this turn. Okay, 1-0 for IGB. So I think this puts Joel out of contention for the playoffs because now the best they can do is 6-6, which I don't think has any possibility of being in the top four. If IGB wins the next three, they've got a 7-5 record, which might clinch a. I wouldn't clinch a spot, but it might end up in getting a spot. Oh, we got another orange and black card. This one better than the last. We'll see if it gets gained here. This Bridge Troll Megaturn. So the only village is lackeys, which sure is awkward. But I could totally see Bridge. Yeah, I think this is a Bridge Troll Megaturn. You buy the lackeys, you advance the lackeys into experiments and Bridge Trolls and such. Then you play a bunch of Bridge Trolls. Get like one big Crypt turn off, set all the coppers aside. How do we open here? You got. Oh, we have a Baker token. I forgot about the Baker token. So we got Experiment Bridge Troll versus Lackey's Bridge Troll. Both of those seem reasonable to me. I mean, I don't want to lose the Lackey split because you've only got 20 total villagers in the kingdom, and they will rapidly deplete. So I can see getting in on the ground floor of the lackeys. There's a non-zero chance that you both go for the Lackey's Bridge Troll thing, and then neither of you secures the early pile out, and you run out of villagers. Then all of a sudden the deck is just horrible because you've got like 5 Bridge Trolls, no money, and no villagers left. Yeah, so the problem, of course, is if one of you goes for the Megatron and the other one just plays money or something, well then you got all day and you're going to easily win. So you both have to do the thing, even though both of you doing the thing means lackeys split too thinly, and then maybe neither of you pulls it off successfully. These both seem like pretty fast players, if that's any indication. Like I don't think we're seeing E Honda here or anything. Ooh, so we either have, I think, who bans Philosopher's Stone? I think Tracer, and they're playing fast. Tracer is definitely on the antsier side. So this could either be Tracer or Tracer Impersonator. Maybe they're doing their best Tracer impression to throw people off the trail. Yeah, possession ban. That's not much of an indicator. That's a great ban list. Sea Hag, Possession, Swindler, Cultist, Tournament. Uh, I mean, that's almost exactly what I would ban if you switch out Tournament with Mountebank. Keep, I don't think is such a bad landmark, but I know it's widely hated, so no surprise there. Someone was speculating that the card-shaped thing was freaky. I believe that was his round 2 opponent. Night War on Elm Street. Uh, believed their opponent to be freaky in round 2, and I think got 4-0'd. There's no fate cards in this Kingdom to tempt. Yeah, playing a lot of lackeys seems questionable. You're burning so many villagers so fast. I think you want to buy the lackeys and advance the lackeys into experiments and bridge trolls. So IGB has a much larger stock of villagers than Joel does. So I think the question is, can Joel end it like this turn? And if they can, well then congratulations. And if they can't, all of a sudden you're out of villagers, and then IGB's got forever. So, advanced lackeys. Then what else? Got 3 buys to work with. This isn't clear. Because, like I was saying, I feel like, as IGB, your one concern is probably, can Joel end it next turn? And that might incline you not to touch experiments, but then that's awkward because experiment is the card you really want right now, because you need to add your drawback. I have no idea what to buy here. This is a tough choice. Like, if I weren't concerned about a pile out, I would probably be taking at least 2, maybe 3 sets of experiments. I think we're looking at all of their bridge trolls, right? Because, uh, you're asking about, yeah, they each have 3. Joel played 2 bridge trolls last turn and then bought 1, and then you see 3 in play for IGB. They've also got +5 from ducats. What is bottom card? So Joel has 3 buys from bridge troll, 1 naturally, 3 more from ducats. That's 7 total buys, and that's a lot. Experiment bridge troll only takes 9 buys to pile. They are player 1. So maybe you take 2 sets of experiments. You could do advanced lackeys into bridge troll, experiment province, uh, double experiment crypt bridge troll. That might be worth it. 2 experiments, a crypt, and a bridge troll. Oh no, you can't do two experiments and a bridge troll. That's one game too many. You do two experiments. I don't know, Crypt Baker, Crypt Patrol, or something. Ducket. You could do two experiments, Bridge Troll and Province. That would be fine because then, even though you've only left 6 games, you are also up 6 victory points. So there's no way they could pile out and also take a points lead with only 7 games. Yeah, for sure. Don't play one here as Jack of all lanterns. You only got 2 villagers left. I think IGB's position looks pretty dominant. Jack needed like a really good turn here and obviously didn't have one. That was a weird time to spend a lackeys. So you spent a villager, and now you don't get to advance. Like Jack has one villager left for the rest of this game. I don't know what their plan is. Now you got to pivot to something else because there's 0 chance you're pulling off the pile out successfully here. What that something else is, I don't even know. Baker money time? Could be resign time. These bottom 4 cards have what? 2 coppers, bridge troll, and ducat, I believe. I think there was time for crypt. Last turn for IGB seemed like a time where you could have easily considered it. And there might have been some turns earlier where they could have considered it as well. Certainly, you don't want to be playing the lackeys nearly as heavily as they have, especially Joel has played lackeys a bunch of times. Okay, so 2 sets of no, no, 1 set of experience in a storeroom. What? In what world are you ever spending your 1 action per turn playing a storeroom? If you want the plus buy, just play a bridge troll. So IGB getting low on villagers themselves. I think they have one more bridge troll down there. Who got that? Yeah, I believe there's one more bridge troll. So I think we're about to reach that sad point where both of their decks have just totally crapped out because you're out of villagers, and now you've got to pivot back out of the bridge troll mega turn idea. And that's not to say that it's a misplay to go for it, because if you don't do it, then your opponent gets free reign to do it, and then you're in a worse spot. But this was a predictable but tragic outcome. So yeah, now it's gonna become Baker money. I'm still confused by the storeroom. I don't think that does anything helpful. Maybe it's gonna advance it into a Baker. If you want to do that, why not just take experiments? So IGB lowering experiments seems totally safe. There's 3 bridge trolls left. Your opponent's basically out of buys, and you've got a 6 point lead. I don't think Jack of all trades can take advantage of the low piles here. They do have a decent stock of villagers, not villagers, of coffers. So it would take 6 buys here to win, and they've only got 5. They also don't have enough money. You have to do experiment, triple bridge, troll, province, state. You buy nothing? I don't know. I think Jack just seems dead. Like you want the experiments back, but then if you take that, your opponent's pilot's kind of trivial. In fact, they would just have the pilot in hand if you bought the experiments. They play their bridge troll and advance Baker troll and experiment up to bridge troll. Quadruple estate. And you try to go for like the estate experiment pile out. I mean, that sounds bad, but everything sounds bad, so I can't really say it's not incorrect. So now as IGB, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buys to work with. Can they do it here? They have enough buys. They have enough money. I think is this 1 coin short? No, this works. This works, right? You can just do empty experiments and rituals here. Yeah, this should just be a win. Alrighty, 2-0 for IGB. What have we here? This looks like an interesting kingdom. It looks like they've got extra menagerie on. We've got 2 menagerie landscapes and 1, 2, 3 kingdom cards. Uh, very menagerie-ish. In any case, the thinning, you got bounty hunter for thinning, taxman, kind of, sorta. Draw, library, cavalry, villages. You got workers village, way of the ox, royal carriage, lots of plus buy as well. Wine merchant, workers village, pawn, merchant guild, gains with falconer. Much going on here. I would expect the opening to just be bounty hunter silver. Oh, IGB with 2-5 again. Bounty hunter pawn seems reasonable. Jack of all lanterns opens with cavalry. What? What? That don't make sense. Why'd you buy a cavalry turn 1? I don't like that at all. I feel like it's really rare for turn 1 cavalry to be good. Like, I think the only thing that wouldn't be an exceedingly rare scenario for that would be if you had one of the better heirlooms in your turn 1 hand, like Goat or Lucky Coin if you were planning on playing money, and you wanted to trigger a shuffle to get that heirloom back into the shuffle early. Baker token plus peasant. I could see that. Yeah, like you have to be adding like a number of really specific things to make it look even plausible in other scenarios. But if you've got Baker token, is that better than just buying peasant and then cavalry on the next turn? I have to think about that. But yeah, cavalry turn 1 is usually just triggering a really bad shuffle on yourself for no reason. Turn 2 cavalry, I think, is often good. If you've got a strong $3 card in the kingdom, like Hermit or Ambassador, You buy that turn 1, buy cavalry turn 2. Or even some of the strong 2s, like peasant cavalry sounds like a good open to me. Turn 1 cavalry makes no sense. In any case, what's happened since then? The second bounty hunter worth it here? Plausibly. Wait, Snakeface can't be in the chat. You're supposed to be one of the players. Okay, hypothesis. Tracer has loaned out his alt account username to someone else with the instructions to join this match and make random comments to throw us off the trail. I'm not falling for it. Is BG being 200% in reference to IGB's name? What's the connection? Border guard, ill-gotten brains. There is a B and a G in the name, but not in the order that one would need. Yeah, so given that we're seeing library, which does seem reasonable here, I think second bounty hunter could for sure be an orator to respond to who asked that. Bolivora. Obviously you want to be very thin with library because those coppers and estates really trip it up. There is a nice little cavalry library interaction where you could put the coppers into play, buy cavalry, and then redraw with library just to get the coppers out of your hands so your library draws more. But these cavalries are running quite fast, and so that's not going to be an option for much longer. I think I like how IGB is playing this better. Falconer seems pretty good. Library seems pretty good. They got the bounty hunter early. That play order surprised me a bit. I would have expected them to ox the other cavalry to draw more with the library. Science likes dead people and awful. Science does like awful. Can the masked players choose their like? Well, I don't think there's anything in the tournament rules about only getting to like one card. This could be one player who likes 2 cards, another who likes 0. It's not so easy to get consent from dead people. A lot of times their family gets in the way. Like you ever had tried donating your organs to science, and then your family's like, "No, you can't do that with their body." And the doctor's like, "Oh, we respect the family members' wishes." Mm-hmm. So where is this going? Merchant Guild seems like a pretty good payload source here. It's nice in that you can actually toil. In fact, I think they just did toil the Merchant Guild, and you still get the coffers off of it because it's still in play. And so you could build a deck that's just Merchant Guilds for villages and Merchant Guilds for plus buy. And then Library obviously works pretty well with that deck. Yeah, I agree. I think second bounty hunter seems good. IGB's managing to draw their deck without it, and I think that's because they're doing some mix of horses and stuff. But it does seem like it'd be a lot simpler if you just added one more bounty hunter, got Finn a little sooner, and then relied more heavily on libraries. They keep doing this thing where they don't play the library last, and I'm always confused when they do it. They could have oxed that other horse as well, which would have seemed totally fine. Yeah, see, now we're not getting through our deck entirely. I do think more thinning here definitely could have been in order. All right, now we got the second bounty hunter. Better late than never. Here, I think you're oxing the merchant guild and just playing two of the cavalries. And buy two pawns, I guess. Nope, just one more library. This is a third library, isn't it? They already have two. Speaking of which, if IGB has all the libraries, what is in Jack's deck right now? I've been I've fallen prey to the natural inclination to just focus on player one. You always look at the game from P1's POV. What what is in Jack's deck? Four silvers have been gained? How why? They're living up to their name. Like, you gotta embody the jack of all trades moniker. Pretty sure the optimal number of silvers here is just one in the opening. Zero from IGB's starting position because they had 5-2, so they couldn't open with silver. Why do they keep doing that? IGB never plays the library last. They always leave one random action. Sometimes it's cavalry, sometimes it's horse. But they never play all the actions before the library. I don't get it. I also don't get why they didn't play the workers' village. Is there maybe a no? They have all the libraries at hand. I was thinking maybe they didn't want to draw on because they knew their third library was down there. Or was it two horses? Oh, that makes sense then. Uh, all right, now let's to figure out what's in Jack of all Lanterns deck. Just lots of cavalries and silvers, lots of coppers, and somehow still in a state. This is just this is spinning. They're horsing pawns to play more cavalries, which is just entirely neutral. It's like Festival Moat, but without the coins of the buy. Like Necropolis Moat. All right. Play all the action cards before library. Please just horse the cavalry. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would have skipped that first cavalry. It probably won't matter. They're going to draw, but I think you want to make absolutely sure you find your next library with your first library. So is there a win here? Seems incredibly likely, right? They only need 14 money and 5 buys, which they already have. And they're well past it at this point. Okay, game 3 to IGB. So if IGB can pull out this fourth one, I think they have some shot of making the top four. I don't know how likely it is, but I think it gives them some chance. We're playing right now, 56. Guess which one I am. I've just been commentating this to throw people off my trail, but I am in fact either Joel or IGB. I won't reveal which. Is NA Smith the other one? Are we both the same one? Has this tournament secretly been co-op the whole time? I'll leave that to you to decide. Or did you mean for league? And NA Smith and I scheduled our league match for Thursday, I believe. This Smithy is drawing 3 cards. No problem. Glad I could help. I actually haven't even looked at this kingdom. What is going on? This is an interesting kingdom. Looks like a awkward bridge troll megaturn where your villages are hideout, which requires trashing, and procession, which trashes things. But for sure you can do it. I mean, there's golem as a village, but that involves getting golem, so that's probably out. What do we open with? Spice Merchant Sewers for both players. How do I feel about that? That seems reasonable. Which of the two players is the smithy? Well, isn't the smithy the location itself? Like you are a smith who works in a smithy, unless I'm wrong. So I believe these are two smiths, and then the surrounding area is the smithy. So IGB has gone for golem. That confuses me. Perhaps they feel bad for their opponent being down 3-0, want to give them a chance. That could be a good reason to get an early potion for golem. I think in general what you want here is to have a procession or two and be procking 4-cost cards into bridge trolls, and that's taking your bridge trolls, and then your buys are mostly being spent buying back the $4 cards. Oh, this isn't an ideal draw for Jack of all lanterns. This means their ghost is going to hit Pearl Diver, which like that's not terrible, but I think you'd rather be able to buy something nice and hit it with ghost. Is Skulk the only card whose name is a verb? If we include card-shaped objects, there's tons, right? Like donate and toil and such. If we count cards, duplicate is confusing. I always said duplicate, which suggests that it's a verb. I have my suspicions that it really should be duplicate. I feel like it's probably referring to the noun form, but it certainly can be a verb. There's replace, replaces. Only a verb. Can't use a replace as a noun. That'd be replacement. Butcher can be a noun or a verb. Dismantle. Yeah, a lot of the remodel variants. Remodel, dismantle, rebuild, displace. Most of those can only be read as verbs. Butcher being either. So, ooh, do we play the hideout? Looks like Jack of all lanterns wants to. I'm not sure if that was right. That's reasonable at the very least. So now what do we buy as Jack of all lanterns? Procession and 4 pearl divers, maybe? Huh. So Procession is going to actually be great here with Pearl Diver because they have 3 bridge trolls in play, which means they'll be able to proc the Pearl Divers up into 4 cost cards. I wonder if they can even, might not even be better, but one thing they could potentially do is after this first proc, you could play the bridge troll if you wanted to, and then proc the Pearl Divers straight up into bridge trolls. I'm not sure why we didn't play Procession there. I'm still not sure why aren't we playing. Oh, maybe they're trying to collide their processions. I can see that they want to do like proc Pearl Diver if they can. As it turns out, their other procession is too far down in the deck. You could take the 50-50 here that it's on top. Yeah, they do. All right, so now we do proc Pearl Diver. I'm really not sure this is even better. Because if you do it the other way, you proc 1 Pearl Diver, then you can play the bridge troll in between that and the other proc, and then your second proc Pearl Diver gains a bridge troll, which seems better than gaining a 4 cost. And now what do we gain? Let's see. Piles look not quite low enough for a win. Whoa, we trashed the hideout? Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe he didn't realize he was still resolving sewers and was meaning to play the hideout? What? That that was a weird choice there. I don't like that at all. So now you've only got 1 bridge troll in play and 4 out of play, which makes it a whole lot harder to line this stuff up successfully. I mean, they still have the advantage of not having gone for Golem, so I feel like they're still in the lead. I think you just take some more processions here. You need actions now. You need a lot more actions because you got a bunch of bridge trolls coming out of play to play, and so I think I want to top deck some processions. I don't know, like 4 processions, 2 smithies or something. Well, if you have the negative coin token, you can still buy anything that costs 0. The negative coin token just prevents you from gaining money, not from buying. It's not like having one debt. Okay, yeah, well, that's what you get for trying to gain golems. And I think with that, neither of these players can make it to semifinals because IGB is now sitting at 6-6 and Jack of all trades at 4-8, which I don't think either of those is a record that could possibly be top 4. Anyways, that's the match.